Brought to you by DK Audio.
Tools, A History by Dominic Chinea. Read by Gordon Griffin. Introduction. I get asked a lot what my favourite tool is, and it's an impossible question to answer because it depends on what I'm doing at that moment in time. Some days say, when I'm staring at a nut that used to be hexagonal and it's so rusty that it won't undo, my favourite tool is the old misshapen spanner that wriggles it free. I might not use that spanner for another 3 years, but wow, I'm grateful that I bought it at that car boot sale 15 years ago, and I think that's part of the reason why I like collecting old hand tools, because at some point they'll be the only thing to help you out of a tight spot. But there are many other reasons too. Sometimes I come across a hand tool displaying such stunning craftsmanship that I just marvel at the skill and dedication that someone has committed to their craft. I love that feeling of finding the diamond in the rough. In my world, that's an old bucket of rusty tools at a car boot sale, where you might find something that you know you can return to its former glory with a bit of love and determination. You can't help but wonder how a tool, which was probably made over a century ago, has ended up in such a sorry state. And when you hold it in your hand and notice worn areas, curves and bumps, you start thinking about the craftspeople that have used the tool you're holding and the incredible objects in the past that this tool might have been used to make. Other times, I've been lucky enough to be the person that a retired mechanic, metal worker, tool maker or panel beater has entrusted their tools to. That's how I've ended up with a unique set of planishing hammers and dollies which have pride of place in my workshop. I see myself as a kind of custodian of tools, not least because if properly cared for, they'll all outlive me. I'll look after them, and eventually, when the time is right, I'll give them on to someone who I know will love and cherish them along with any wisdom I've gleaned upon the way, because that's what heritage craft is all about. I found myself in a uniquely privileged situation on the repair shop, in a job that's impossible to train for. I'm learning all the time as I'm going. But a lot of the work isn't just about practical skills. Much of it comes down to putting yourself into people's shoes in the past, imagining how they tackled something and wondering which tools they used. A huge amount of thought and preparation goes into what I do on each item at the repair shop, so I often find myself sitting and staring at an object over an evening and working out how I'm going to start on it. But touch wood, I always get there. I go into my workshop each day excited about what's going to land on my workbench, and when it does, I always feel lucky to have been trusted to work on that precious item, so I try to be as careful as possible and look after it the best that I can. I think you've got to approach something with respect to keep the soul there. It's a difficult balancing act, though, working with people's prized possessions. One thing you have to ask yourself is how pristine you want something to look after you've finished with it. I think it all depends on what it's going to be used for. Something like an old barber's chair, which is going to be used straight away in a barber's shop, needs to be as good as new in places, so it'll last longer and deal with everyday wear and tear. But other items that might end up in a display case in a museum, you end up trying to restore to how the person who brought it in wants it to be remembered. If it's at all possible to keep an original paint colour or patterner, then I will try to. Each item you treat in a slightly different way, and sometimes you have to take the big decision to redo something rather than restore it. It's always hard. But when you're dealing with an old pub sign that's going to be 5 metres in the air taking a battering from the wind off the coast of Scotland, it's the best thing to do.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?